What's up, Rockstars? Ben Lai here, Rockstar Fitness. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the RSF Strength and Conditioning Facility. Today, what we are talking about is squats. More specifically, how to prepare better and mobilize prior to doing your squats. One of the big limitations in us getting to good squat depth is tight calves and tight ankles, which we'll get to in another video. Another major issue is tight hips. Now, with tight hips, it doesn't really allow your femur to rotate out laterally, especially on that downward phase. So what happens is, to get that depth, you start bending over more and more through the hips. All that does is really create a lot more pressure on the muscle groups and the joints of the lower back. Now, by getting a good squat depth, so breaking parallel and allowing those femurs, those legs to continue to sit outwards or drive out away from your body, what that does is it increases your range of movement, especially the major levers like the knees and the hips, which encourages a greater muscle stimulation, especially in the glutes, in the quads, in the adductors, and in the abductors. So basically all the muscle groups of the leg. What we're looking at today is a few separate, different, easy sort of mobilization movements that you can use using a band at the gym, one of those assisted chin-up bands that you can do prior to the workout, after the workout, at home, just when you want to open up the hips a little bit if you're feeling a little bit tight. Another great benefit of doing this is it's also going to give you a little bit more freedom in your lower back. So if you do have sore back or you suffer from lower back pain, then try these hip movements up. Give your pelvis a little bit more room to flow and move a little bit, and you might find that the pressure on your lower back will start to decrease. All right, let's get into it. All right, what we're getting into first is we're going to free up the front of your hips a little bit. We're going to use a rig, a pole, a support, a bench, whatever you can get your hands on that's quite stable and won't move around. We're also going to use one of these assisted pull-up bands. Now, you don't have to go really quite hard with the resistance of these bands. You also don't want to go too soft. You want it to be just enough to pull on the front of that hip. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to take the band, I'm going to roll it in half, I'm going to throw it around the pole. Now, I'm going to take this loop and I'm going to put it through the center of the other one and just pull it tight. So now it just sits nice and firm on the rig just like that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my leg through and I'm going to place the band right up underneath my glute, right up towards my groin. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a step back with that same leg. I'm going to drop my knee to the ground. Now, similar to a hip stretch. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a deep breath in and allow the band to pull my pelvis forwards. And I'm going to hold in this position here for a sec. Now, what that does is it pushes my pelvis forwards. It allows my hip flexors to start to release. Hip flexors being the muscle groups that are on the front of the pelvis, which often tighten up, pulling your hips underneath you. So if you're in a tight squat position and you hit the bottom, a lot of times you'll see people's butt tuck under them as they get into that depth. It's what you call butt winking. We're trying to eliminate that by allowing the pelvis to sit back in that overarched position, giving more stability in the bottom of that squat. All right, so if I wanted to change it around the other way, all I do is I'm going to change my leg, put my leg through, take it right up underneath the glute, take a big lunge step back, drop that knee, and I'm going to let the pelvis pull forwards. Now, while I'm in this position, you can play with it a little bit. So a lot of times this might be just enough. You're like, oh, it's really tight, I can feel that. Or if you want to increase the stretch a little bit, you might take the hand up behind the head, lean to the side, you'll feel it pull down the side and increase further into the front just here. Lean back, even further than that. Or if you really feel good, you can reach back, grab that foot, let that hip pull forwards and you pull that foot towards you. That's quite an intense deep stretch, and you might find that one runs down into the middle of the quadriceps as well. Now, you want to hold each of these stretches for about 15 to 25 seconds. You might repeat them 2 to 3 times. Now, be mindful that these are quite static stretches, and before you do any heavy endurance or strength work, you want to do a dynamic warm-up before you do anything like that. So you might do all these stretches first and then do something dynamic like, a couple of quick squats, a couple of quick lunges, some leg kicks, that sort of stuff before you get into your squatting. All right, give this one a try. All right, guys, staying with the band, we're going into that same position, but this time we're going to turn sideways to the band. We're going to go into a traditional hip stretch. Now, traditional hip stretch, usually you might have seen people doing this in the gym, you might have done them yourself, is that big lunge step back. So I'm in a lunge, I lean both hands down, and I'll use that elbow on the inside of my knee to push out. All right, we're trying to unlock around the ball and socket joint around the hip. So we're starting to get now up into your adductors, into your groin, and we're starting to let the piriformis release a little bit off the back of the hip. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take this band, we're going to place the band up, middle of my thigh, and I'm going to walk out far enough that I can feel a little bit of tension. Now, once I'm here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to drop back down into that hip stretch, and I'm gonna let the band pull my knee back towards that rig. I'm gonna sit in this position here. Now, if that feels quite tight and you can't really get any lower than that by keeping that pelvis forwards, stay here. Take a deep breath in, just let that band sit and do its work. You might start to rock slightly. If you're feeling quite flexible, take a deep breath in, same elbow as the leg that's out. You wanna try and get your elbow to your big toe, and you're gonna sit into that position just there. And you might just rock, keeping that pelvis nice and flat, that back nice and flat, and keeping that band pulling that knee outwards away from you. Love this stretch. I think it's a really, really effective stretch, especially when you're trying to encourage your knees to drive out and away from your body at the base of that squat. So again, 15, 25 seconds on each leg, 2 to 3 times. All right, rock stars. We're again staying with the bands and staying with the rig. And all we're doing with a lot of these stretches is you can just stay in the same spot. We don't really have to go anywhere to improve this hips flexibility. What we're going to do now is we're going to start to try and build a better squat technique. So if I was standing at the top, my feet would be just outside my hips. You initiate the squat with the hips back first. Keep your chest up. I'm going to drive those knees out, and I want to sit into that bottom position just here. So you can see how the knees are driving out, and I'm trying to keep my chest upwards. The reason why my knees drive out is it creates space for my butt to go in between my legs. If my feet are too narrow, it's very difficult for me to get that low. There's no real place for me to go. It puts a lot of pressure on my knees. I want to put all the pressure on my butt, hamstrings, and quads. What we're going to do is we're going to take that band and we're going to place it just above the knee. So almost in the same spot you had your hip stretch in last time. I'm going to walk out far enough that again I can feel that tension on my thigh. I'm going to go into that squat position, take a deep breath in, and I'm going to drop into that squat. And I'm going to allow the band to pull that knee out. Now obviously one knee will start driving out further than the other because the band is pulling me out. But we're encouraging the stretch through my groin. I'm going to take a deep breath in, hold it, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take pressure off for a second. Okay, give your legs a shake. Take a deep breath in. I might increase the resistance again. Deep breath in, sit back, allow the band to pull that leg out again. I'm trying to keep my shoulders behind my knees. Let it pull out, let it pull out. Again, I might rock in that position for a little bit. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Standing back up again. Now, I might hold for 3, 4 sets of 10 seconds each before switching over to the other side, or I might just flip-flop between the two. All we're trying to do is loosen up the inside groin. If that's free and your groin's free, then your knees can, again, drive out a little bit better. Give this stretch a try. I love this stretch. Again, it's only going to improve your squat technique, and by relieving or releasing the muscles around your groin, again, give that lower back a little bit more freedom to move. All right, guys, the next stretch, what we're looking to do is we're looking to free up the back of the glute and down the back of the hip. Now, I'm going to use the raised plyo box to do this stretch, but you can do it on the floor, you can do it on a weight bench, you can do it on a chair, basically anything that's available to you. I like doing it standing because I just find like I can get a little deeper and I don't have to worry about holding myself up as much. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the box and I'm going to lift my leg up and I'm going to turn it to the side. Now, in this side position, all I'm going to do is I'm going to pin my ankle down with the opposite hand and I'm going to push my hip forwards. Now in this position, I don't want my knee to collapse to the bench. What I want to do is keep the knee slightly up, and all I'm going to do is move my back leg back slightly. So I'm going to hop back just slightly. Once I'm there, I can feel that stretch down the back of the hip. I'm going to rotate my belly button around towards that knee. I'm going to hold it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back up, take a deep breath in, and I'm going to come back over center. I'm just going to rock here for a little bit and I'm going to play in the joint, trying to get all that gunk out there, trying to move it around a little bit more. I'm going to take a deep breath in. I'm going to rotate around again. Belly button towards the knee. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now again, I might repeat this 3, 4, 5 times on the same leg until it starts to loosen up and I'll feel it. I'll start to go, oh, okay, it's starting to let go a little bit now. Once I've done that, I'll hop off and I'll swap my legs. And you'll feel straight away that one side of your lower back is, more flexible or looser than the other side. So repeating on the opposite side, I'm going to throw that leg over. I'm going to let it drop to the side. I'm going to place my hand on that ankle and I'm going to pin that foot and I'm going to push that hip forward. Now, one side will definitely be tighter than the other. On my side, it's obviously my right side. I'm going to play in that joint a little bit, rotate my belly button around to that knee. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back, rotate in the middle, sit in that. And again, I'm going to repeat the process. I'm going to rock to the side, belly button over the knee, pin that ankle, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back up and release. So we're really working on all the different segments of the hip and all the major muscle groups that surround that hip joint to give you a lot more freedom in the base of that squat. All right, let's do it. Well, there you have it, rock stars. Those are my go-to movements to improve my mobility and my flexibility prior to doing any squat work. Now, there is heaps of different, hip stretches that you can also be doing using a whole array of different tools. The bands, the roller, the ball, no tools at all, just using your own body weight. These are just my main favorites that I like to go back to. Give them a try, see if they improve your squat technique, see if it's better, worse, or the same, and comment below and let me know. Now, if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. New videos every single week. See you again soon.